Hello everyone, this is RGB Fox and we are going to look at the Master Duel ban list that is going to be in effect in February. So early next month is when this drops, and that also confirms us for K9 and the Vanquish Soul support. So let's get started here because we finally see a notable hit to Ryzeal with Ryzeal Cross. Ryzeal Cross is a hit that I wanted in the TCG before Jush format came through, right? Before the Justice Hunters decks came about. And in Master Duel, it looks like they are finally addressing the card that is really hard to play around against Ryzeal. Ryzeal is a deck that does have its notable flaws, but one thing that can always be for certain is that they are always going to be able to play around the Nibiru on their turn, and then not hit, but negate a monster effect that you really need on your turn, right? And so it made it a little bit hard for decks like Dracotail to still go against them, because the deck in and of itself has a really good time breaking the Dracotail board, and it also has really good interruptions against them, setting the Ketu Rahu and all this stuff, and then the fact that you get to stop effects like 5 mana and Malulu with the Ryzeal Cross. I think this is a very good change. I think this now makes them more susceptible to Nib than ever, and it's going to be really tough to try to play Ryzeal without this card. You're going to have to adapt. So Ryzeal players, you lose a really good interruption piece in the end board, and I do see Ryzeal dropping in popularity after this. Now, the Roach is finally going to be at 1. Wow, what a long time coming. I think that when the OCG starts making changes like this, Master Duel will follow, and it's clear by the example that we see in front of us. MAXX C going to 1 is great. However, I don't like the fact that it's still available. The fact that it's at 1 means that you will get sacked, right? One out of every few games, you will face an opponent who is going to have the MAXX C available, and you're going to cry. But this also means that Yummy players can rejoice, especially if they're playing the Mitsurugi version, especially if they're playing the Sulfa Chord version, right? You're able to now play into the MAXX C, or rather play without having to face the MAXX C as often. But it is going to hurt that much more whenever the opponent does have it, and forces you into not being able to play your game and then them demolishing you right back, right? However, this is a good step in the right direction no matter what. Less copies is always going to be good. Statistically, your game should feel a lot better, and it pushes people to actually play the Molchummies instead of, this little creature right here. I just can't wait for the day that it goes to 0 in the Master Duel. Maybe later this year, but hopefully as soon as possible. Now, up next, we have the semi-limit. So they're semi-limiting Raisin, Stake Your Soul, and Jialong. They know. So this is another reason why MAXX C is getting hit, right? With more copies to MAXX C, it means that the amount of good Earth attribute targets that you can play into the deck diminishes, right? MAXX C is the key card that, in my opinion, allows Vanquish Soul to be good without K9. However, with K9, we're going to have cards like Izuna, we're going to have cards like Noroi, and Holisu that are going to be sufficient Earth targets that you can have in your hand at all times in order to fulfill the conditions of cards like the Vanquish Soul Trap card, Caesar, etc. Raisin, Stake Your Soul, and Jialong to 2. So we look at Raisin to 2 and Stake Your Soul to 2. Going first, your accessibility to the Raisin diminishes slightly, and the Jialong hit to 2 means that you reduce your amount of good fires that you get to play into the deck, but this is nowhere near as bad as when we had Raisin and Stake Your Soul to 1 in the TCG. This also means you have to commit to use less UR points in order to create the Vanquishal cards if you don't have them already, and it gives you more space for non-engine, which is going to be really important anyways for the deck. Raise into 2 means that if you go first and you have a Raisin on board, it means your Holisu on the follow-up turn can get you another Raisin. So you get to cycle and have excellent follow-up for your opponent's turn whenever you try to play on theirs. So I think that this is overall a pretty good change, right? You lose 3 cards in the main deck, but you're going to gain many more through the next update. So I think this is fine. If you really do want to supplement fire monsters, you could play like a copy of like Dogaran, which is a fire, and a Kaiju. So if you go against Lunalight, you'll have a much better time against the deck. Although this deck already has a good matchup into Lunalight, but for the most part, this deck is going to face just a bit of consistency challenges, but nothing too crazy. Because again, MAXX C is still legal, and Fua is great. So this deck also has a really good matchup into the Dracotail deck, no matter which variant that they play right now. So this deck is going to see a lot of success, and do prepare yourselves. And now to the cards that got released from the semi-limited 3. So Lightning Storm to 3, it just improves the chances of board breaker decks like Gem Knights, Cyber Dragons, Makonko, etc. to see this card so that they can, break through the back row, through the front line, etc. Which is fine. I don't see this being too big of a problem. Maiden of White from 2 to 3. I think this was the wrong card to have hit to 2 anyway, so this is okay. Phantom of Yubel from 2 to 3. I don't like it when Yubel gets cards back at all, because that deck is just degenerate, and the fact that they can make multiple Phantom of Yubels in one turn, even though it is a hard once per turn to, change the monster effect they use against it, still sucks, because you get to just overlay with the Phantom of Yubel anyways to make the Varudras. Like, I don't think this card should have even came off of the limited to 2, but Yubel is not like the most popular deck in the world. You will see it here and there, but as long as we have MAXX C and Fua legal, the Yubel deck shouldn't be that oppressive. And then lastly, we have Snake Eye Oak from Unlimited to 3. I think that original Sinful Spoils is still legal in Master Duel. I could be wrong. I think I'm wrong. Let me double check. So yeah, original Sinful Spoils is actually still at 1. So the Snake Eye Oak does allow for Snake Eye to be back in the format potentially, but it did lose a lot of nukes. It lost Appaloosa, but it still has Baron and Savage that it can fall back on. So I don't know that this is like the best thing to release at 3 unless you're going to hit like cards like Flamber's Dragon, but I guess you still have lack of starters. You have 1 Snake Eye Ash, you have 1 Poplar, the Bellstar I believe is at 1 as well, or if not Wanted. I think it might be Wanted, honestly. Yeah, it is Wanted. So I could see Snake Eyes potentially coming back into the format, but I don't think that it's actually going to be that big of a problem, because I do think that the current decks that are good, etc., like Yummy, Dracotail, and Vanquishal will all play into the deck very well. So I do not see Snake Eyes being that big of a problem. I mean, I'm not going to lie, I do love the deck myself, but I am comfortable not playing it. I don't think it needs to exist, but if that makes the players happy, then sure. Snake Eyes Oak being unlimited from Forbidden just means that the deck can be viable again, but I don't expect to see it, on ladder that often. So Snake Eyes Oak is like whatever. And that is really it for the video. I am super glad that Konami at the very least is hitting the MAXX C to 1. I think this is a change that we needed to see a lot sooner, and only time can tell before we finally see this from 1 to 0. So thank you guys for watching. Just wanted to make a quick video about the ban list, and that really is all it. Thank you for watching, and please let me know in the comments below what you think about the current Forbidden Unlimited list for Master Duel.